welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing some more acrylic paint pouring, but today I'm going to be trying some different techniques. I have a bunch more canvases ready to go, and I have a bunch of paints. I'm going to be using my very old apple barrel paints to be doing all of this. I didn't buy a kit or anything, I just bought the canvases. And I have some leftover silicone gel that I may be using. And I found that you can add water to the paint to thin it out. And so I'm going to try that and see if that works. But instead of like the regular paint pouring aspect of everything, I actually want to do something a little bit different. I wanted to go with the whole pouring the paint on here and then just smushing the canvas. But we'll get to it. Hello everyone, this is VoiceOver Me now. So I gave the little introduction for this video early on in person in camera, but now I'm back in my voiceover form to just talk about the whole process in general. I started off by mixing up all of my really old acrylic paints. These are all my apple barrel paints that I've had for years now. Most of them have been very dried out, and so the water really helped to revive them. And this way I avoided wasting a lot of paints. And I started just by mixing the main rainbow colors, since I knew those were the colors I was wanting to use a lot. And I did end up mixing two different blues, a lighter blue and a dark blue. I will say, if you're thinking of doing this with your own acrylic paint, instead of just buying actually pre-mixed paint with the correct pouring medium, then make sure you get the right balance between water and paint, because on some of my paints I put too much water and it didn't have good coverage. For this first canvas I went with some pink and purple, but since I mixed a ton of water on the pink, it didn't really go into the canvas like it was supposed to. It kind of just all fell to the sides. And I ended up just setting this one to the side and ignoring it while I continue on to the other ones. But off camera I did add lots of things to that one, so it does turn out differently. But for the second one I was hoping to do a nice simple rainbow on it, but the purple ended up pushing all the pink off, and then I ended up adding too much blue, which pushed most of the purple off. And so this is somewhat like a rainbow, but it ends up not having purple or blue. And then since I really like the puddle effect when doing acrylic paint pour or fluid art, I did that a lot throughout this whole video. But here I'm using this old egg carton and just putting drops of water in each of them and putting drops of paint in each of them, preparing it to flip it over onto a canvas. For this one, I was wanting to do somewhat of a rainbow design with a black center, but since the paint was really watery, most of the colors ended up just getting pushed off by the black. And again, I kept using extra canvases into the puddles just to get what effects I could get from it. And then for this one, I kind of just started pouring all the excess paint that I had already mixed, and then continue pushing the puddle of paint on the ground on it. And I kind of just kept going back and forth with both of those techniques to see what I can get. Now I'm trying to do another layered rainbow pool, but since I had a lot more green into it, that was the main color. Now at this point I was getting close to the end of my canvases, and I really wanted to do a successful rainbow canvas, and so this time I just poured the paint right onto the canvas, but also adding black and brown, and then just basically stamped it onto the ground. And this one is probably one of my favorites out of all of them. And so this time I'm doing somewhat the opposite. This time I'm following the same pattern and putting the paint onto the plastic and then pouring the canvas on top of it. And this second one is also one of my favorites. It's kind of the same as the one I did before it. Now this one I had a lot of green paint, and I just really wanted to use a lot of it because I don't use much of green. And so I kind of just started throwing all the green that I had saved up onto this canvas and swirled it into the puddle. And then these are how all the canvases looked after drying. This was the first one I did. It's probably one of my least favorites. Since the pink had so much water on it, it didn't really stain the canvas correctly. Then this was my first rainbow attempt, which didn't turn out so well. Now this one isn't one of my favorites, but I do think it looks kind of cool with the colors kind of going out like little veins or lightning strikes. This one's kind of just a big mess, and some parts I like, but lots of the colors got very mudded in the center. This one is also pretty similar. Most of the fluid art canvases that I did today look very similar. This one I think actually looks pretty cool. It has lots of dimension to it. The color palette isn't really my taste, but I do think it looks interesting. Then we have this green and blue one. This one's okay, just pretty simple. I prefer the fluid arts with many colors instead of just two primary colors. Now this black one, I did actually add gold and silver just to fill up some of the space, and it kind of looks cool. Now this one is probably my least favorite out of all of them. It just looks like a hot mess. I tried adding some gold and silver to this one too, but it didn't really help. Now these two are my favorite out of any of my fluid arts or paint pouring canvases that I did. And they're pretty similar, so they're kind of interchangeable, but I just really like how they turned out. I like the rainbow look, especially this one with the pink and purple mixing into each other. I think it came out really nice. And in some ways they kind of just match each other. Especially with this third rainbow one, they kind of look like a set all together. This is also another one that I didn't like as much since it was mainly just green that overpowered everything. But that was all the fluid art that I did this week. I hope you liked them and I hope you enjoyed this video. I had lots of fun doing this again. Thank you all so much for watching my video, and God bless you.